Well, hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap with Colleen Biggs. I have been so happy with our rebrand and all of the guests, the amazing guests that we have had so far on this new podcast that we've rebranded from Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. So happy to have you back. And today we are going to be diving in on how to have a life of peaceful living. Just saying that makes me want to have the life of peaceful living. So today we're going to find out, do you have the life of peaceful living, or are there things that are still stopping you from living the life that you desire? And I know that sounds so arbitrary for some people to hear, but I want you to understand that you get to choose the life that you live. And today we're going to talk about how to have a life of peaceful living. But before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, The Adventures of Julie Jones, for being our sponsor today. Are you an entrepreneur who would like to get more done, be more productive, and be more effective in communication without losing your sanity? Julie provides one-to-one coaching, workshops, speaking memberships, all customized for your specific needs. There is no cookie cutter approach when you're working with the Adventures of Julie Jones when it comes to you living your best life now. She is the most adventurous person I know and will show you how to get the most out of life. Are you ready to get serious about taking action with your life and in your business? Are you ready to move to the next level? Well, take action and get shit done with Julie's website at www.juliejones.com and book your free 30-minute call with her. And thank you so much, Julie, for being our sponsor today. She is a good friend of mine, and I highly recommend, if you feel like you are not having enough venture in your life and all you do is work and you're just tired of it, you need to go hop out of a plane. She's the one to call. She will help put the fun and adventure back in your life. So thank you again, Julie. Okay, let's get back to my guest here, who I have not yet introduced, but I'm very excited to bring her forward to the community of listeners. We have Roberta Whitney Hughes with me today, and she is the founder and lead instructor at Peaceful Living, a boutique hybrid studio that conveys a delicate and personalized peaceful living instruction through customized Pilates, meditation, and yoga classes. Peaceful Living grants clients a way to filter out life's pressures through a delicate and highly personalized approach that's through its live streams and on-demand classes. Its nurturing and customized approach guides clients who desire to change their relationship with stress. Amen, sister. Reconnect in a welcoming space from the comfort of your own home. And of course, we're going to have her website available for you. And I'll let Roberta talk more about that in a minute. But Roberta, warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Colleen. I've been listening to your show, and it's an honor for me to be here with you today.
Is so great. Like, if you've listened to my show, you must know that I love working out. I've been a personal trainer before. I'm a first degree black belt, and I've been a marathon runner. I've done boot camp. So my type of activity is a very high level activity, if you could get my drift, from the types of activities that I do today. In fact, this morning I was doing a workout at 6 a.m., lifting these super heavy weights. And I literally yelled at the top of my lungs at one point because I work off a mirror, and I just needed to get it out. You know what I mean? Because I love doing it, but it's hard. It is hard. You know, that
Yes.
workout is definitely work. But I love Pilates and yogas, and I meditate every morning, and I do yogas a couple days a week because I know my body needs the strength and the flexion, and the stretching. So I've got to know, where were you in your life that this became your sole focus on bringing peaceful living to other people?
It culminated really just before COVID in 2018. I had been teaching in the fitness industry for more than 14 years, mostly from yoga and Pilates. In 2011, I had the opportunity to leave the fitness industry and work one on one with a young woman who had Down syndrome. And over the course of 2 years, I helped her lose 108 pounds and started a nonprofit after that experience because it changed my life. And what I learned during that time working with this young lady was how genuine our emotions are.
Hmm.
And when we don't suppress our emotions, when we show up authentically, when
Hmm.
we say the things that are hard, when we say how we're feeling, that there's so much honesty and growth in that. And it helped me grow as a person. And it really inspired me to take a look at training in a new way because I feel like so many people are missing that element in their workouts, in their lives, to not just do it for results, but to do it authentically, honestly, and vulnerably.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What a beautiful story that you had that opportunity to work with that soul and change her life, and it's the clients that I worked with back when I was a certified personal trainer. It really wasn't the weight loss that was the big factor, right? We all know that now working with them. That's just really how it's what gets in the way. It's how they see themselves. But I have met people that have lost hundreds of pounds and they still consider themselves a fat person,
Mm.
because that's their thinking and that's how they move through life. And you had mentioned in kind of the precursor that you had been raised really creating anything that you ever wanted, and I think that's commendable that you were raised that way,
Yeah.
and you felt supported in being able to go after the things you desired. I know many of our listeners didn't feel that way. My childhood wasn't that way. I wasn't supported. I was more suppressed.
Mm.
I was told not to speak up. I was in a very abusive family. And so I didn't really learn until later years of how to be able to go for what I want and not have it feel selfish. So explain to me, how has that proved and served you today? And I'm sure you've met a lot of women along the way that struggle with feeling their best or wanting the best for themselves because they feel that that's selfish. Talk to me a little bit through that.
Sure. So, my father is a 30-year veteran in the Army. He's
Mm.
African American. My mother is Serbian. And I think because of their upbringings, they both grew up very poor, very um, discouraged, not having a lot available, being a minority. I think they just wanted my sister and I to have that knowledge in our brain that we can do whatever we choose to do. And we just had to figure out how. And that served me so well because whenever I would say to my parents, I'm going to do this, they would say, okay. But I really had to lead the way. I had to be the creative brain behind the process. Anytime I would ask my dad for help, he would hand me a book, he would give me a resource, he would show me where to find it, how to find it.
Mm.
That became such a resource in my adult life because now when I do get stuck, I know where to look. I know that the information is out there. I just need to seek it and figure out how to bring it into my life and benefit me.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I too have struggled with having a voice and having um, the ability to really advocate for myself. I'm a great advocate for others when I see my kids need help, when I see someone that has a disability that needs help. I can jump into action right away. When it comes to having a voice for myself, I have to work at that really hard and remind myself that I too deserve that same advocacy and confidence that I give to others.
Yeah, what a beautiful lesson to be learned today. And I love what you said about how your dad taught you to go find the resource. So that's like the very first golden nugget that we got today already, which is if you don't know something, it's not any fault of yours. It's just something you don't know. So go seek out the answers. Go seek out the people that can provide you the answers, that can provide you the people that do know the answers, and seek out the information and get that for yourself. Because usually that's the barrier, Roberta, which is we just don't know something yet, but people feel like they're failures because they can't get what they want. And it's not because they haven't worked for it or tried. It's just that they don't know something yet. But then I always say, once you know, you know. Now, what are you going to do with it? Right? That's where the
Exactly.
pressure's on.
Yes. And as an entrepreneur myself, my strength is definitely in the creativity of content, giving a great experience, teaching, sharing. Those are the parts where I feel 100% grounded and able. The places where I need support are in marketing, finding the ability to get my voice out into the world,
Mm.
managing the business aspects, and staying on task to achieve goals that are going to help the business grow. So I seek support in those areas continuously.
Yeah, it's super important. My last episode that I did was talking all about the profit pyramid and why it's so important for us to take our goals and then break it down by what we're going to be offering, how we're going to move people through our funnel for them to be able to know, like, and trust us. Because it's a lot easier to move people through your funnel because they're already warm, they're, a hot lead, they already know you, they already like you, they're already partaking of your products and services. It's easier to sell them the next program, right, Roberta, than it is to go out and find someone cold that doesn't know who you are. Yet we waste so much of our money and time trying to get all of these new people in, thinking that the wider we throw our net, the better off we're going to be from this pool. But what about the people that you've already got that are already there, that love your Pilates classes, that love doing yoga with you? You introduce another product for them or another class for them, they're already sold because they
Mhm.
love doing what they've done already with you versus you trying to get someone in from outside of your community and saying, hey, try this yoga class that I have, or some, come to my event. It's way easier to work with the ones that you're already working with.
Yes.
That's how we do business smart
Yes.
instead of hard, right? So, talk to me a little bit. You said you do these live stream and on demand in a very nurturing and customized approach. So, what does working with you look like, Roberta? How do you work with men and women, or I'm not sure who you work with. So, let's get into that a little bit so I can understand a little bit more.
I have a diverse group of people, fewer men than women, but
Mhm.
all ages. My youngest client is 14 years old, and my oldest client is 78 years old. So I have the whole scope, and my strength is in helping people bring practices into their life that are going to be meaningful. So I sit down and talk to them about what they're currently doing, where do they need support, and then we create a plan. And that plan can be more independent to more private one on one instruction. So for independent people who just need a little bit of addition and they're self motivated, they're self reliant, they're really great about holding themselves accountable, just coming to a live stream class, becoming a member. All of my members can text me or message me. And even just yesterday when I taught class, it was based on something I had received from a member as a question, with something going on in her body. So I even customize those group classes because usually what's happening for one person is good for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the independent learning. The more personalized approach comes with one on one instruction or me sitting down and building a personalized plan. And then that accountability can come weekly, it can come bi weekly, it can come monthly, really, however the person feels they need the most support.
Mm-hmm.
I try to honor and let them guide what they need, and then
Yeah.
I fill in that space for them.
Yeah, so in the beginning I talked about how my energy is like crazy off the wall, right? So
Yes.
my type of exercise and working out is very high energy. But I know that you guide the individuals to really look within, right? To seek
Mm-hmm.
within for them to be able to slow down and listen. That is a task that I work on every day. I do.
Yeah.
I've hired coaches to help me slow down and focus within because that is not natural for me.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, it is very natural. In fact, they're so slow and listen within that they lack the action, taking the
Yes.
action. I'm more of a complete action taker, lack the slow down and, receiving part, which is work for me. But slowing down and listening and seeking your personal power is something very different because you're having them tap into something that already exists. And that's a lot of it's a lot of self-love, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of self-care. How do you do that with individuals, and why is that important for peaceful living?
Sure. So, self care and self love are really at the foundation of all of the things that we do. If you aren't nurturing and feeding that for yourself as an adult, you won't grow. You won't feel empowered. You won't be able to experience all of the things that you do. You'll simply be taking action. And
Mm-hmm.
as you probably have discovered, Colleen, in your life, you can only be in action for a certain amount of time before you need to refill your cup, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my
So,
cup wasn't filled for a lot of years. It was cracked. It was dry. It was pretty bad. If I'm being honest,
yeah.
the lack of sleep was wearing on me. These were back in my corporate days. I'm
Hmm.
healthier, younger looking, more vibrant. I have more energy now because I've taken the time to self-love, slow down, nurture myself. And that's something I never would have done in the
Yeah.
past.
And so think of self love and self care as the yin of living. So we have our yin and our yang, and you're really familiar with the yang, being a
Yeah.
doer, being a go getter, being in action. And that's wonderful. That's who you are. That's how you show up in the world. And you need to support that with enough nurturing energy so that you can continue to do all of the wonderful things that you do. When you were depleted, when your cup was cracked, when it was empty, you probably weren't showing up in the way that you are today. And you weren't
Mm-mm.
making the difference in your life or in the lives of others the way that you are today.
Yeah, so true. I hope you guys are listening to what Roberta's saying because I want you to take account and think in your life that this is time for you to, look within. Are you having that good yin and yang balance? So are you living a peaceful life, meaning so many people get caught up on, they swing the pendulum one way or the other. I need to get in action. So then everything they do is just 80 hours a week, wearing themselves out, right? Or they switch the pendulum the other way. And, I've been told I need to get more self care and self love. So I'm going to spend 8 hours a day meditating and I'm going to manifest my business to, increase revenue. So there's a middle ground to this. We need both of those balances of what I hear Roberta saying. Roberta and I are definitely a yin and yang uh personalities, and it's okay for you to need guidance, for you to need someone to assist you. Like I said, I'm working right now with a coach that grounds me.
Yes.
And most people are like, I don't even know what that means. Well, she slows me down. She gives me exercises to do every day that are mindful minutes that get me into my body. I never slowed down in the morning or, would spend time for myself. It was jump out of bed, get ready, and off to work as fast as I could get to the computer. And there was just never any time for myself. Now, the first 2 hours of my day, starting at 5:10, are all for me, and they're never for anybody else. They're for working out, they're for meditating, they're for gratitude, they're for reading, educating myself, tapping. I do a lot of tapping. um, it's changed my life completely because
And
I
it's
was
so
missing all that.
wonderful that you're investing your time in that. And I imagine that you had to practice and you had to get to where you are today. And this is what I think is missing in the self love and self care conversation. Most people think that it's just about going out for a massage or going to the spa or taking a retreat, kind of filling your cup and like really full, overflowing, and then going right back into life.
Mhm.
I love to show people that planting little seeds of peaceful moments throughout the day, which sounds like is something that you're now practicing intentionally, Colleen,
Mhm.
makes the biggest difference over time. So I have Zen breaks that I've written, which are these short guided meditations, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long. Putting one of those on in the middle of the day to just disrupt the busyness and breathe for a minute and regroup and go about your next moment. And then I love to help people get a good night's sleep because so
Mm.
many of us are not getting rest. And if there's one thing that you can do to improve how you feel and function every day, it's to learn how to get a good night's sleep.
Mm, that is my favorite thing is sleeping. It used to not
Yes.
be. It was just a task that I had to do. But now I say it out loud. I go to bed by 9 o'clock if I'm not already passed out on the couch, by 8:30. And I say every night when I climb in bed, this is my favorite time of the day to jump into bed and rest. And now my body gets to rejuvenate for what tomorrow has to bring. And I just know that. I know it in my soul that my body needs it, and I sleep very soundly. And I love what you said about planting those seeds along the way. And you're right. Again, the pendulum swings one way or the other, and they're constantly getting massages or, going. I do little things like when I have a break in the day, and I'm talking a 20-minute break, right? Everyone that knows me knows that once I start my day, I just plug in and then I unplug. But that's the
Yes.
difference between me and a lot of other people. I will plug in the morning and be very attentive, aware to everything throughout the day. But when I unplug, I'm not checking my emails on my phone. I'm not. That's my time to make dinner with my husband or see our kids or grandkids or whatever it may be and have just, 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
of an evening to just have some downtime to do projects around the house or whatever I want to do. And that's healthy for me. That's what works for me. But if I have a little break during the day where I don't have a call and maybe I've caught up on my emails and I'll walk out of my office. I'll walk out into the kitchen, make something to eat or walk out back or walk down to the mail or, maybe even just throw in a load of laundry and just switch up the day a little bit and just kind of do something a little different that's not in front of a box, my
Yes.
computer. And I think that's healthy for me. That's how I get my little
Absolutely.
breaks. Or I'll, run over and watch one of my grandkids at their swim lessons because it only takes me 45 minutes out of the day to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And that's just a nice little break to see family and do something. And it's not something that is a huge commitment. Like tonight, I'm meeting a friend over some dinner. And we planned it several weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to it. I looked at my schedule. Oh my gosh, I get to meet Jay Reed tonight. I'm so happy. And, we're talking about my future. We're talking about finances. We're talking about, insurance. We're talking about all these things because she's guiding me through it. But I said, why don't we do it over dinner where we can see each other and talk to each other and have, some fun together instead of doing it like this over Zoom.
Yeah.
And we'll switch things up because hugging someone and saying hi to them and being in their presence changes the energy of
It
how you
does.
feel. Yeah.
Anything that we can do to connect to other human beings in a meaningful way. Sometimes it is through a screen, but if you can be in person
Mm-hmm.
with someone who inspires you, who feeds you, who nourishes you,
Yeah.
that too is a form of self love and self care. And
Yeah.
what you're describing, Colleen, is the mindfulness and awareness for yourself. You've learned the things that nourish you and support your ability to perform and function and work and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have all of these choices available, and within the course of a day or a week, however it is that you go about it, you'll say, these are the things I'm going to choose to
Yeah.
disrupt the monotony, to feed my spirit, to nourish myself so that I can be at peace in my life and really enjoy the things that I do.
Yeah, it's important for me. It really is because I've come from the extreme, very masculine energy, and female energy was always told to me and taught to me that it was very weak.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I stepped into the personal development and really started learning about myself that I figured out how strong I was, with my female energy and not having to act a certain way around certain people, but really just be myself. And that's what set me free. So, Roberta, I know the listeners are dying. They're like, what does Roberta do? She's the expert. What does she do to plant those seeds all week? What does her day look like? How do you keep a peaceful living for yourself, Roberta?
Sure. I do a number of things. The number one thing that helps me is to set up my week on a Sunday. So I'll sit down with my planner and I'll look at the things that require my attention. I'll put those down first, and then I'll look at opportunities to keep some white space in my calendar. That white space for me is freedom, because then I can choose. Do I want to do some admin? Do I want to write a blog? Do I want to take a walk with my dog? Like, what do I want to do during those times? Once the week starts, I begin my day with mindfulness, either journaling, meditation. Sometimes I get to do both. Sometimes I only have time for one. I'll also listen to podcasts as I'm getting ready. I have a whole morning ritual with skincare and gua sha that I have
Mm.
learned. So as I'm doing that, I'm listening and learning and filling my cup of knowledge for the day. And then I'll teach clients and work with clients and make sure that I try to get meals away from my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So now that the weather is nice here in Denver, I take my dogs out front. I sit in the grass. I eat my lunch. I watch them play. I
Mm.
leave my cell phone and electronics away from that experience. I take my dog for a walk every single day. I do either yoga or Pilates, or some type of movement every day. And
Mm.
sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's a full hour.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm really regimented, like every day at 6 o'clock I do this, and every day at 7 o'clock I do this. I have learned, kind of like you have, to weave these things throughout the day, and not every day looks the same, but I show up for what I'm responsible for. I make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and also pushing my comfort zone so that I can grow and my business can grow.
That's
And I get a
great.
good night's sleep. So,
Yeah. Your skin is beautiful. For anyone who can't see Roberta, you need to jump over to my Facebook group for my Facebook group, Leap for Ladies, or go to Facebook Colleen Biggs, and you will be able to see how beautiful she is. Her
well,
skin
thank
is
you.
glowing. So that skin regimen that you do every morning works for sure.
And I'll be
Um,
49 in July, Colleen. So,
Congratulations. I just turned 50 on April 7th. We
congratulations. We're
had a
the same age
month
almost.
long celebration, and I feel healthier and more vibrant at 50. In fact, we had a big surprise birthday party, and my kids had circulated on a slideshow all these photos of me from years and years and years ago. And I looked at my husband and I said, is it me or do I look younger today than I did in those photos right there? A slightly skinnier, but it was more unhealthy skinny back then. I didn't really
Sure.
appreciate the how healthy I could be. And healthy doesn't mean skinny. I just want to
Right.
say that to everybody. Healthy doesn't mean skinny. But I was just like, I think that I'm aging backwards when I hit
That's
50.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And I would love to ask, some of those pictures where you noticed that, was that when you were not sleeping, working in the
Yeah.
corporate setting,
Oh, yeah.
working yourself to the bone?
Yeah.
And you probably looked at some of those photos, I'm guessing, and thought, who was that person?
So stressed out. Like,
Like, not just how you
so,
looked, but
yeah.
who was that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I really, I go back and I look at my history, and I think a lot of us do, listeners, right? You go back and you think about where you've come in your life, and we can't have regrets. We can only say that's where I was. It's what I knew at that time. So it is what it is, right? We bless it, we acknowledge it, we're aware of it, and then we let it go because we can't change the past. What we have is today. And so looking at those photos and in your life, Roberta, and realizing how important it is for people to have this peaceful living, because we're going to live longer, our bodies are going to feel better, we're going to be healthier. When you feel better and your body feels better and you're taking time for yourself, everything around you gets better.
yes.
Everything as a result of that one thing.
And I think it's important to ask that question, like, who was that person? To go through those older photos. I
Yeah.
did this last year when my son was getting ready to graduate high school, and I went through a pretty hard divorce in 2016. So, of course, most of the photos were from when I was married. And I just really thought, who was that person? She was the
Mhm.
person that didn't have a voice. She was the person who didn't speak up for herself. She was the person, I could make the list go longer and longer. But who am I now? Who am I
Mhm.
today? And that's where the celebration comes in. You just celebrated 50 years. So
Yeah.
celebrating who you are and fully and authentically being who you are
Yeah.
today. It's not a regret that who was that person. It's more of an inspiration. Like, look how much I've grown. Look how far I've
Yeah.
come.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always talk about the second half of my life now because I've just celebrated the first half. Now I'm
Yes.
celebrating the second half. And so, what do I want to leave? What legacy do I want to leave? What impact do I want to have? And it doesn't have to be something huge. I was just at a funeral the other day for a gentleman who worked for 30 years at the front desk of a community
Mm.
HOA. There were over 300 people there. One by one, they got up to share how much of an impact this one individual made on their life. This was not a TV star. This was not an author. This was not a TV show producer, podcast host. This was a gentleman who showed up every day, a minimum wage, cared about the people in the community, showed them, and made a small impact every day.
That's
And
incredible.
he's left that amazing legacy now
The
for
power
all
of
of those people.
kindness and the
The
power
power
of
of
seeing
kindness.
people.
So I think we, in our heads, and I'm included, we think we've got to do these massively awesome things and be popular and have all these followers. It's vanity, by the way. It's just vanity likes, vanity follows. To be
Mm-hmm.
this great person so that you can leave this amazing legacy. And what if just spending one time a week with your granddaughter for 1 hour makes an impact on her? And that's your legacy that you leave
Yeah.
for her to go conquer the world and make impacts on other people,
Yes.
right? So we do get caught up in that, how much money we can make, how big, we can become, and the legacy we live. Just remember, your legacy is about your kindness, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself, and the model that you are for the people around you because they're
Mm-hmm.
watching every day, Roberta. So I'd love for you to share, how do people reach out to you? How can they get into your fold? Do you have something special for them? What is the best way for our community to connect with you?
On my website, which is peaceful and full has two L's, living.com, I have all of my classes. So if you click on classes, this is the more independent learning stream. You'll
Mhm.
see live stream classes, on demand classes, and workshops. If you want to work with me in a more intimate way, if you will, to really curate something that's going to help you shift the things in your life that needs shifting or supplementing, you click on pricing, and there you can see my private instruction menu. One of the things that's on there is your own customized peaceful living plan. So we would spend time together talking through things, and I would create that plan, and it might include some of my on demand videos using either meditation, yoga, or Pilates. It
Mhm.
could be helping you create your self care routine, whatever it is that you need. And for your listeners, I'm offering 30% off of any of the services on Peaceful Living with code
Wonderful.
LEAP30, all capital letters.
Oh, I love that. So we'll make sure we have that code for all of you in the show notes. So if you're listening to this podcast via listening and not watching the video, then it should be right there at your fingertips. And you can click on her website and use the code LEAP30, all capital letters.
Yes.
Roberta, this was a wonderful conversation. I think it could go on for an hour.
I
There's
know. I was looking at our time and I felt like we've just started, but we're actually at the very end. It went in a
I
blink.
can't even believe it. Yeah, it
Yes.
did. You are such a pleasure. You exuberate like all your energy is peaceful.
Well,
Just
thank you.
having you here slows me down, makes me feel more calm and confident, and I just love it. I love your energy. So thank you so much for
Thank
bringing
you.
that to the
And I
show.
have loved our conversation, and I hope you and I continue to connect and communicate,
We will.
and I'll keep listening to your podcast.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Well, listeners, you heard it here. You are the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. I say this every single time. How you decide to look within, slow down, seek your personal power and your own confidence in your way, and give yourself what you need every day to fill your cup so you can pour into others. That's how we leave a legacy. That's how we make an impact. So I'm going to challenge you to take account on what's happening in your life, and do you need more peaceful living? And if you do, reach out to Roberta Whitney Hughes, and you can find her, like we talked about, on her website at peaceful living, 2 L's, peacefulliving.com. Well, thank you, Roberta, for being with us. Thank you for all of our listeners for sticking in there with us today and enjoying this amazing conversation. And until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.